A sudden twist at practice has turned what should have been a routine game week into a wave of uncertainty. Just when things seemed to be stabilizing, a major setback hit the team, one that could ripple through the rest of the season. What happened? And what does it say about deeper issues within the organization? Let's talk about it, but first click the like button and leave your comment. Billy Bowman Jr. suffered what appears to be a devastating Achilles injury during Falcons practice leading up to the critical Week 12 matchup against the Saints. And while head coach Raheem Morris wouldn't confirm the specifics, he did call it not good, which for any seasoned fan translates to serious concern, possibly a torn Achilles. If that's the case, we're staring at a 9 to 12 month recovery, meaning Bowman might not be back on the field until this same time next season. This isn't just a tough break for the Falcons, it's a gut punch. Bowman has been one of the quiet revelations of this season. Transitioning from safety at Oklahoma to a nickel corner role in the NFL, he showcased not only versatility but maturity in his game. The guy's a hybrid defensive back with size, speed, and physicality. One of his most underrated strengths this season has been his ability to close. When receivers make catches near him, he swarms and finishes like a seasoned vet. His tackling technique and read-react speed made him a rising force, especially when you consider his role in the blitz game. He came off the edge with ferocity and played far bigger than his size, making him a nightmare for opposing offenses trying to pick up pressure packages. Early in the year, many Falcons fans, myself included, were skeptical of Alford holding down that nickel corner spot. His inconsistencies were glaring last season, and it felt like the team might not have the depth at defensive back to hold up. But Alford proved to be a reliable rotational piece, and with Bowman elevating his game, the Falcons looked like they'd quietly solved one of their biggest defensive concerns. Now, all that progress is on pause, and once again, we're staring down the possibility of reshuffling an already thin secondary. But it's not just Bowman. This is yet another entry in a brutal stretch of injuries for the Falcons. Drake London's been dealing with setbacks. Darnell Mooney has been banged up. Divine Diablo only recently returned from a stint on short-term IR. And Bowman himself already had injury concerns earlier this year. The trend isn't just worrying, it's starting to feel systemic. Which brings us to a larger question. What is going on with this team's strength and conditioning protocols? You can't control everything. Freak injuries happen. But when you're consistently more banged up than other franchises across the league, you have to start asking the hard questions. Compare this to top-tier NFL organizations, Denver, New England, Indy, the Rams. They're not spiraling under the weight of injuries like Atlanta is. Something's off. Whether it's how practices run, how players are recovering, or how workloads are managed, the coaching staff has to take accountability for the trend. And yeah, let's talk coaching. It's been a constant theme all year, and while this specific Bowman injury might not directly fall on their shoulders, the overall picture can't be ignored. At what point do you stop calling it bad luck and start calling it bad preparation? There's a reason franchises like San Francisco can weather injury storms and still win games. Kyle Shanahan doesn't let excuses pile up, he adjusts. Even if the roster is bruised, they stay competitive. That's what good coaching looks like. So when we look at Raheem Morris, Jeff Ulbrich, and even GM Terry Fontenot, the pressure is mounting. Not because they're bad people, but because the results aren't adding up. You're judged by how well your team stays healthy, executes, and ultimately wins. And right now, we're not seeing enough of any of that. This team is in survival mode week in and week out. Even in a rivalry week against the Saints, a moment that should ignite the fan base and spark some hope, there's this dark cloud of uncertainty hanging over the locker room. No Drake London. Darnell Mooney forced into a WR1 role. Kirk Cousins is trying to hold it down behind center, but without a healthy supporting cast, how far can he take you? Thank God for Bijan Robinson and Tyler Allgeier. The run game, while underutilized at times, is one of the few bright spots remaining. And still, despite all the negativity, we're left hoping for a win. A win won't erase the injuries. It won't fix the structural concerns. But for just a moment, it might allow us to breathe, to believe, to feel something other than frustration and helplessness. And that's what fandom is all about, isn't it? The irrational, enduring hope that your team will find a way to rise above the noise. What do you think, Falcons fans? Is this just a streak of bad luck, or is it time to hold this coaching staff accountable for the growing list of injuries and setbacks? Let's be real, accountability has to start somewhere, and the fans are already out of patience. When you hear Achilles injury in November from one of your most dynamic defenders, it's not just a personnel problem. It's a leadership problem. It speaks to a lack of resilience in the program that can't be blamed on fate alone. And as for Raheem Morris's vague response, it's not good. That's not the kind of transparency this fan base deserves. This team needs clarity, answers, and above all, a vision forward. And what does that vision look like right now? It's muddled. It's riddled with inconsistency. We've got a quarterback room that may see another overhaul next year. There's chatter from the front office hinting at yet another pivot, possibly a big one. Terry Fontenot, Arthur Blank, and Rich McKay seem to be on the same page in their evaluation of this roster, which might mean we're heading toward a major reset under center. Kirk Cousins might not be the long-term answer, and let's face it, the Falcons haven't found stability at quarterback since Matt Ryan. If Bowman's injury is a symbol of anything, it's that this team can't afford to keep living in limbo. There's no margin for error in today's NFL, especially when injuries like this start draining your already thin resources. Look around the roster. You've got playmakers, sure, Bijan Robinson is electric. Tyler Algier brings that tough, downhill punch. And when Drake London is healthy, he's a legit WR1 threat. But injuries and coaching miscues continue to hold this team back. And no matter how many times fans shout for change, we're met with silence or vague reassurances. This organization needs to stop being reactive and start being proactive. Waiting until the end of the season to evaluate is how you lose an entire year. And possibly the locker room. We're entering the most critical stretch of the season with a roster held together by tape and hope. The defense, which has shown flashes of promise, is now without one of its most physical and versatile pieces in Bowman. You can't replace a player like that with scheme alone. He wasn't just a body, he was a weapon. And not just as a corner, but as a blitzing threat and tone setter on defense. That's what hurts the most. This wasn't a depth piece getting hurt. This was a foundational player who was just beginning to blossom. And with the Saints game looming, this couldn't have come at a worse time. This isn't just a rivalry, it's a litmus test for where this team is headed. Are they going to fight through adversity, or fold under it? Because if the Falcons come out flat, if the defense looks lost without Bowman, the questions won't stop at his absence, they'll extend to every coach on that sideline. Even players like D. Alford, who've stepped up into rotational roles, now carry added responsibility. The margin for error is razor thin. Every tackle missed, every coverage blown, is going to sting a little harder now. And fair or not, the blame's going to fall somewhere. That's the reality of professional football. When things fall apart, someone has to answer for it. And it's not just on-field performance. Injuries like this disrupt the locker room. It demoralizes a unit that's already taken hit after hit. You can't measure that kind of impact in stats. It shows up in effort, in morale, in the way guys approach the game. And while we all hope Bowman returns better than ever, the rest of this squad needs to rally, not just for the fans, but for themselves. This season's far from over, but the window to turn things around is closing fast. And yet, despite all this, Falcons fans remain hopeful. That's what makes this community so special. Through heartbreak, through mismanagement, through injury after injury, the passion never fades. But passion without results turns into resentment. And if the front office doesn't start delivering answers, real ones, we might be looking at another wasted year. Let's be honest, how many more injuries can this team endure before major changes become inevitable? Bowman's injury might just be the tipping point. Whether it's coaching, conditioning, or plain bad fortune, something's broken in Atlanta. And until someone in the organization steps up and fixes it, this team will keep falling short. If you made it this far, you're one of the real ones. You care about this team. You want better. And so do we. So drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and click the video on your screen for more Falcons updates, because the truth, the raw breakdowns, the real fan voice, you're only going to find it right here. Go Falcons!